Okay guys, something a little bit different today. I don't normally do cast metal pieces because generally I like to work in plastic. However, because I'm doing my little British Paratrooper kind of series at the moment, these guys are going to make up part of the battalion in rapid fire, which is what I do. Basically, a British Paratrooper battalion has one Vickers machine gun in the obviously support role. So I was looking around. All the sets I had that I'm building the battalion out of didn't actually have a dedicated Vickers machine gun in any of the sets, and I didn't really have anything handy that I could convert that I wasn't using for something else. So I said I'd have a look around, and I spotted these guys from cpmodels.co.uk, I think it was, and these are down as TDQ or TDQ castings, I think they're called. And to do a range of these things, there's several poses in that range of British and, interestingly enough, Polish paratroopers from the kind of market garden kind of time. So basically, this is the set itself. You get the black stand, as you can see there, which I may or may not use. Actually, it might raise up a little bit too high, but I'll see. I'll make a call on that once I've done painted and that. So basically, you get your two figures. We'll have a little look at the gun first, though. Detail there on the ammunition belt, quite nice. Individual rounds visible. Ammunition box again. Individual rounds visible on the top of the box. That little thing there is your water condenser. To keep the gun barrel cool, obviously, and that kind of housing that the Vickers kind of identifies the Vickers in any kind of Maxim machine gun sort of a scenario. There's the gun itself with the kind of the top section of the mount built on. Detail isn't bad at all, and there's the three little legs for the tripod, obviously. So that's basically the weapon itself. The figures, again, as I say, there's a stand to come on. I'm just going to try and lift these guys up, maybe, so if we can try and get a bit of focus on that. Is that going to cooperate? Just about, I think. Detail isn't too bad at all, in fairness, and they're nice poses too, which is nice. Obviously quite flat here, obviously, to kind of make a good weld with the stand. So couldn't really fault that. Decent expression on the face and everything. So it looks quite determined, that chap. And then, of course, you have the gunner himself. And a nice position there, so a little bit of trimming to be done off the feet, maybe, where obviously the injection points were for the mould, but looks pretty decent, as you can see there. So I generally work in plastic. I have used a few bits and pieces of cast stuff over the years, but not very much. I mean, it's not so much the expense, because I mean, I wouldn't be putting together an entire battalion of them anyway because I have so much plastic stuff. But for individual little bits and pieces like that, it's dead handy to be able to just get something that matches up. What I like about these guys in particular is actually the sculpt style. It matches in quite well with any of the plastic sets, which I find to be, generally speaking, a little bit more realistic kind of portrayals of, well, a human being. I find an awful lot of the white metal cast stuff is very it looks like kind of Warhammer, that kind of stuff from years ago. They're almost cartoon character-esque. Proportions are a little bit out, and it just doesn't do it for me, to be honest with you. Now, there are several brands out there, these being one of them, that do kind of a far more realistic looking poses and kind of body proportions and that, so I'm quite happy to use those when need be, and they're great to kind of augment any of the plastic sets if you can find some that match in quite nicely. So these guys, anyway, as I say, I've checked them out. I've compared them to some of the Esky ones, the Esky British Paratroopers, the Revel ones, and a few others. So I mean, they match in quite well, so I have no problem in using those at all, and I'm looking forward actually to getting this little thing together and see how they match in with what I'm doing at the moment. So that's that. I'm going to crack on and get these done, and I'll be back to you with the completed little, what you call it, set, figures, whatever you want to call it here. Still debating whether I'll mount them on that base or not, but I'll make that call a little bit later on this evening. and see whether that works out or not. I'm looking forward to getting that Vickers together and see what kind of detail comes out after I paint it, because it's enamels I use. I know a lot of you guys use water-based stuff like Vallejo and all those kind of things, but I just use home-grown enamels. That's what I've been using for the last 20 odd years, and probably not going to change now. But so that's it, guys. I'll have a look at this, see what I can do with it, and I'll be back to you momentarily, and we'll see how it paints up. So I'll talk to you in a second. Okay guys, we've returned with the completed little set there from TQD Castings, which was purchased from cpmodels.co.uk. The reference number for this is BP05, and a nice little range of stuff they have there too. So anyway, the paint job turned out okay. I did them up in the colours recommended by Airfix on the back of the Airfix 132 British Paratrooper box, shall we say. That's those numbers are easy to find. They're all home-grown matte enamels. If you literally just Google Airfix British Paratroopers, do an image search or whatever, you will find that, no problem. The Vickers itself turned out fairly well. Give that a little bit of matte 66 and dry brushed with some matte 53. Again, these were all home-grown colours. Handy enough to put together. Use super glue to adhere the legs into place, and off you go. And that was really it. Very straightforward, as I always say. Giving them a rub of Null and Oil by Citadel for a little bit of shading, as I do with all my figures these days. I just find it easier. I could have dry brushed, but to be honest, I find the Null and Oil kind of takes care of a lot of that, and it's more than sufficient for my purposes. So that's it. I elected not to use the base that was provided with that particular set, because I said it would be easier just to match in with the stuff I had in existence already. So that's that. A little bit of size comparison there. You have Vickers from sergeantmess.co.uk on a Matchbox stand, being operated by Matchbox 176 Australian with a Matchbox 176 NATO Paratrooper head swap, and the guy feeding the ammunition from the incorrect side is Matchbox NATO Paratrooper in 176 scale, who has been basically just painted up in the Airfix colours, recommended colours again. Again, these are based on beer mats, and as I say, the stand that came with with this lad here on the left just elevated the setup a little bit too much, so I said I'd just go with the beer mats as per usual. So that's that little bit of comparison there. So obviously the guys on the left here are 172, and the guys on the right are more 176. So there is a size difference noticeable there. But if I just remove him out of the equation momentarily and drop in this guy, you'll see that they match in a lot better. This one on the right, the lad with the binoculars, is from the Waterloo 1815 British Paratroopers with 75mm pack howitzer set, which I did a video on there not so long ago, so if you want to check that out, by all means do. So they match in really well there, and they match in well with the artillery anti-tank teams, the two Esky sets in Paratroopers that were released, which are both done by Artillery now, and the Revell British Paratroopers from years ago as well. So that's what they will be, the battalion they'll be assigned to. So that's basically it, guys. That is the TQD Castings from cpmodels.co.uk Vickers with crew. So a handy little piece to augment any battalions we're putting together, and very easy to work with, and that's basically it. So I have a few other British Paratrooper projects to do, because we're in a little series on those at the moment, as we have a game coming up, kind of a Market Garden, Arnhem-esque sort of a scenario. So from that perspective, we've a few other bits and pieces to get done, and just throw a few videos up on YouTube for you guys to have a look at. So that's basically it, folks. That's the my little review on this little set, and I'd recommend it, basically, is what it boils down to. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that gave you some little bit of information that might be of use to you for future projects. So if you'd like and subscribe and check out all the other videos, that'd be wonderful. So in the meantime, guys, I wish you all the best, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care.